Hey everyone, Monica Bodierski here, artist, author, and advisor. Do you think there's one single way to read tarot? Well, stay tuned for today's video, and I'm going to talk just a little bit about that. Welcome to Shadow. Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. Well, today's discussion has been a heated discussion for many, many years. But first, let me thank you for being here and for subscribing and for leaving your comments. So appreciated. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you're liking what you see, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Okay, let's dive right in. So what we're talking about, well, this is such a broad topic, but it's something that in the years I've been teaching tarot and reading tarot, I get asked a lot. What is the correct way to read tarot? Well, that really depends on so many, many things. And I think what I've been sort of picking up on Reddit recently and from conferences I've been to is that it can be a very heated discussion. Why is that? Well, we all have different opinions. And please keep in mind, today's video is just my opinion. Feel free to disagree vehemently and tell me about it in the comments. I am a pretty easygoing person and I love to hear everyone's input. So, what is the difference between secular tarot versus spiritual tarot reading? I think this is kind of at the heart of what I found when people are asking me. They often ask, secular reading, in which you don't believe in deity, it's not for spiritual purposes, it is for meditative, shadow work, psychological purposes, your higher self. To me, this is all very internal and inward looking, and I see no issues with that. Interestingly, I've never really thought of it in terms of secular tarot reading, which is apparently a thing. I've just thought of it as one way to read and a very viable way to get in touch with a lot of internal workings. I just figured that is partially what tarot's for. A lot of people don't agree with that and think that the way to read is purely intuitive, external to yourself, in that, well, it's another thing I happen to believe, that tarot is a doorway to other spiritual realms and an access point for messages. Do I believe in deity? Sometimes yes, sometimes several, sometimes it's just such a moot point for me. I guess the jury's out. And I don't think it is that vital. I think because of my own practice, which is largely ancestral based, I get a lot of advice, I feel, from ancestors, and those are the spirits that I'm largely speaking to via tarot. So, there are people, though, who argue this vehemently because I think the gatekeeping is what's rearing its very strict head right about now. And that could be for many reasons. Generally speaking, when people step up to say, this is the only way to read, I feel they think they're being threatened, or their worldview or their way of doing something is threatened to extinction, perhaps, even because unless certain traditions are passed down and repeated, they could get lost. And there is something to be argued there for lost knowledge and lost traditions. I've always felt that very strongly, that we should pass on the way that we read tarot cards to others and share that wisdom. I think the gatekeeping portion is when people are telling you very adamantly that their way of reading is the only way. And you can't access that without certain knowledge in a very linear fashion. And that makes me uncomfortable because, well, it rules out all of the very personal ways people read. Now, if I were to go completely to the other spectrum here as potentially irksome, I guess you could say it would be to people who are perhaps, and this is a personal opinion, I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm saying I see that this extreme can be just as extreme. Let's just leave it there. That when you flip over a card, it's whatever it says to you. There's, whatever, however you read, whatever is coming to mind, that's how you're going to read the cards. And that can be coming from within. And interestingly, that can be coming from spirit. That works both ways, but it is an extreme of not having a set system and it being completely personal to whatever you think and feel at the moment for the image that you're looking at. That's not wrong. It's just, I think this is where we get into sensitive issues as well. I think that lies in how we define tarot. What is tarot? If you define it as a system, as a very traditional system, you might feel differently than if you define tarot as 78 cardboard cards with images. Okay? And yes, I'm exaggerating to make a point. How can we say what's right or wrong when each of us has a definition of what tarot is? It came through different occult traditions, Rider-Waite-Smith, Thelemites using tarot in a very different way with the Thoth tarot. Oracle cards, which don't fall into any category if they are just coming from the creator and not a system like Lenormand. And even so, questioning Lenormand, it apparently evolved from coffee ground readings. So where do we draw the line in defining a system? That is problematic. So how are we going to police what is correct and what is incorrect? If there is a concern that I have, it is not in how you read. It is in how seriously people will take your advice, and if your ethics are perhaps maybe not in line with how professional advisors would approach their practice. And by that I just mean, let's be real, it doesn't matter if you're a medical doctor or a tarot reader, you can have the same range of ethics or not be so ethical. And I guess because tarot and tarot reading is completely unregulated, that, there is a concern that you're offering people advice beyond the scope of your professional expertise. And then if that is just coming from your intuition, well, that's so intangible. And tarot reading is already kind of an intangible something because it is generally in the category of your opinion. And I feel sometimes that it is in a system and secular reading that when people are repeating the same meanings over and over, there is sort of a self-regulation going on within the community. You would know then if somebody flipped over the Four of Wands and it was just their gut feeling saying that your house is going to catch on fire, as opposed to someone who reads it as a celebration. Let's say you're reading Rider-Waite-Smith, and it's being read as a celebration, a wedding, a happy home, stability. Those kind of keywords will be repeated within the community, and it gives us a sense of security that we have a community that is in agreement. Okay? So, what am I saying? I'm saying it's incredibly complex and nuanced, isn't it? And really, maybe before we fall on one side of an argument or another, we should all be open-minded and we should all share whatever knowledge we have openly with one another. And, I hope that tarot is something that people value as both a tradition and something that, you can be creative with and put yourself into. As most things that I see it as a framework, and there are certain rules that I adhere to. And then my intuition will kick in. So I'm generally using both at all times when I read and advise. And that is a very personal thing. So let me know. How do you read? Do you have strong opinions one way or another? Have you ever been accused of gatekeeping because you wouldn't share? Or do you get annoyed by readers who insist on rules being followed or not followed? Like I said, very complex, very nuanced. So thank you very much for tuning in. And don't forget to check out my website for all the latest news. I have a residency coming up and all sorts of other exciting stuff. So thanks again for watching. Have yourselves a wonderful tarot-y week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.